I have almost no doubt that many of you have heard about the so-called power couple, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett. They have long been known as the perfect marriage, or the perfect image of Hollywood marriages functioning and having no blemishes or problems. But as it turns out, recently there has been the revelation that Jada Pinkett, in fact, cheated on Will Smith for an extended period of time during a period which might be termed the time of troubles, where the couple had effectively been broken up, supposedly. And of course, this revelation has been brought to bear, and of course, it shattered the pristine image of the couple and the notion that, yes, at least this married couple managed to make it, particularly in Hollywood, of all places. Because, as we all know, usually, especially in the spotlight, these things typically don't work out long term. Now, I don't claim to know exactly what happened. This has not been revealed to the best of my knowledge. But clearly, Jada Pinkett did cheat, and Will Smith acknowledges this, and there was a problem. And yes, subsequently, they have rebuilt their partnership, and they are as good as ever, if not stronger as a couple than blah, and yada, yada, yada. And yes, they have said that they have reestablished their relationship and their marriage, and now they are life partners, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Okay. Whatever happened, it doesn't change the fact that something obviously went awry, and Jada Pinkett felt compelled to cheat on him. And that will forever tarnish and blemish the marriage. All forgiveness notwithstanding. I'm sure Will Smith has forgiven Jada Pinkett, but it simply puts on display the fact that these things are difficult, and specifically marriage is very difficult, especially when you're carrying the image of the perfect marriage for everybody under the Hollywood spotlight. Now, there are a number of things to say about this, and also a related topic, which will be the meat and drink of this video. But suffice to say, it's not as if this stuff had not occurred in the past. People often reference the past as this pristine age where everything was fine and hunky-dory. It's just that things were covered up a lot better. No social media, tabloids were minimal to non-existent, etc., etc. And so you didn't have this sort of coverage. And people were a lot more subtle, or a lot more careful. Did people have affairs in the 20s and 30s? Well, absolutely. And did they violate their marriage vows all the time? Sure they did. You just never really heard about it. And because they never talked about it, you get the mistaken impression the current year that back in the day it was fundamentally different. That marriage and the like was a sacred institution that everyone cherished and held to a certain standard. Sure, that might have been true to some degree, but by no means to the degree people claim. People ought to stop looking to the past for inspiration when, in many ways, it wasn't that much better, at least in the ways we like to think it might have been. But more to the point, we can ask the question, one would suppose, under the rules of engagement as decreed by PUAs and red man types, that Will Smith was effectively an alpha, one might have thought, right? He sired 3 children, and he had this amazing marriage, and yet he was cheated on. So what about Will Smith was not alpha enough? What about him had led to him misgaming his wife, as Rollo Tomassi might put it? Well, I submit to you, not much. The reality is that life, from birth onwards, is a game of uncertainty. And the only thing that's guaranteed in life is death. Everything else is uncertain. And the problem is, rather than making the honest claim that relationships, and more specifically marriage, are risky business, potentially very dangerous, and that you have no guarantee that it's going to work out in the end. It might work out in the end, but it also might not. You instead get this onslaught of gurus. Now, there's something to be said about that. The current year, in many ways, resembles times past where there's so much uncertainty in the air, so many unknowns, that we've seen, as in times past, the rise of gurus, of confidence men, of people who are willing to sell you the truth, as they call it, the one tried and true method, the one way, the one path to get to X goal. And this is very, very common these days. And it always occurs within the void of meaning and the relative void of uncertainty. Because even though things have always been uncertain, there are added layers of uncertainty in the current year. And that's especially true of relationships, and especially true of marriage and the like. Yes, it is possible to have a successful marriage in the current year, to have the white picket fence, to have the 2.5 kids and a dog. It is possible. Is it likely? No. In fact, I'd argue it's very unlikely, but it's possible. But who really wants to play with those odds? And more to the point, what type of guru or redeemer or confidence man would try to sell you a product or a book or his lecture if the odds were 50-50 or 40-60 or something relatively uncertain? No, that kind of honest talk just doesn't sell very well. Which is why, unfortunately, a lot of these types need to lie to their public, to claim that they have it all figured out, that they know the proper steps and they know what to do. And if you were to only listen to them, then you too would know what to do and you would figure it out as well. So within that framework, within that mentality, the sales pitch mentality, you can take a guy like Will Smith and you could make the claim that he didn't really know how to game his wife and he didn't really know what he was doing. He was a cuck, right? He should have read Rollo Tomasi's book, The Rational Male, or listened to the Red Man Group. Then Jada Pinkett would not have cheated. Then things might have been okay. Or would they have been? None of these people who are trying to sell you salvation in a bottle, or in a lecture, or in a book, or in tactical soap in some cases, really can make the promise that if you follow their steps and their guidelines, everything's going to turn out really well. That just doesn't sell. You can't sell uncertainty. People want confidence. They want certainty. They want to know that this is going to work. They want to know that when you rub that tactical soap on your armpits, it's going to project pheromones out into the air, and that's going to get you laid, and that's going to get you a girlfriend. They want to know this sort of thing. So that is the problem we're facing in the current year. A void of meaning, even less certainty than there ever has been in contemporary times, and people desperate and supplicating for any solution whatsoever, for any shred, any smidgen of certainty. And this is why these types are listened to, these experts, these red pill men who seem to know it all, and they know how marriage works, and they know how relationships work, and if only you follow their guidelines. Well, you want a concrete example of this? Very few people in the PUA community, or the game your woman community, however you want to term it, whatever you want to call it, will acknowledge that the biggest contributing factor to your success in relationships is your looks, and secondarily your wealth, not your behavior, not how you game your girlfriend or your wife or some random chick, not what you say to her, but basically your looks and your money. Now, why would they not say it? It was pretty obvious, because you can't do a whole lot about that. Money, yes. But even so, how many people are going to become millionaires? How many guys are going to become multi-billionaires? Not many. And looks, you can, looks max it's called, but that's about it. Most people are not endowed with amazing looks. No, instead, they claim that you can talk your way into it. You can figure it out, all the steps. It's not a good selling point to claim that fundamentally we're all unequal and that people are going to have varying degrees of success in every avenue of life. And in this context, the mating avenue doesn't sell. So this is why we have this age of guruism everywhere you look. And it's not just PUAs and the mating market and the manosphere, it's everything. This diet will solve all your problems. Follow my exercise routine and you will get ripped and shredded. You even have gullible people that believe you can spot reduce fat, or you can do sit-ups and that'll give you a six-pack, rather than reducing your body's total subcutaneous fat over time in conjunction with some exercise. Do this and you'll lose all the weight you want. Follow my guidelines. Go to my lecture. Read my book and apply it to real life and you'll be successful. It's a mixture of survivorship bias, cynicism, a lack of ethics and regard for other people, and everything else thrown into the cauldron of the current year. And I should hope by now that many men in the manosphere are aware of this, that they're not being sold reliable information. There's only so much you can do when things are uncertain. That doesn't sell, but it's the truth. And I think Will Smith and Jada Pinkett's pseudo-successful marriage, I should put it, because they're back together, is a good testament to that. Nothing lasts forever, and everything's uncertain until you drop dead. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. As always, I hope you have a forthcoming pleasant weekend. And more importantly, may the gods watch over you until the next time. If I'm still alive, I'll check you out later. Bye-bye. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.